Hey students, I wanted to take just a moment and try to help you with some of your kicking. Years ago I had a student who wanted to become a much better kicker, and at that time he could barely touch his toes. He was in pretty good physical condition, but he really was just stiff as a log and he couldn't get his legs up, above, knees and hips. And I gave him some of these training drills and he took them to heart and kept training and training and training. He became one of the best kickers I ever had and became a world champion brown belt in competition. So it really is something that if you're willing to dedicate yourself and push yourself, you could be amazed at how much of the kicking ability you can improve on. So I'm going to go through just a couple of kicking drills that you can do, as well as a couple little pointers about kicking, and that way you can practice at home. Again, you don't need a lot of space and you don't need anything fancy. Now I'm going to use the Wave Master, but don't forget you can use a corner of just a corner or of a doorpost or something else, just something as a target that can help you practice over and over. You don't even have to hit it, just try to see how close you can come without hitting it to work good control. If you do have a target that you can actually touch, it's great, but it's not necessary. So keep on. So try to take some of these drills, keep practicing them. I was about to say take them home, but you're already home. This is why we're doing this here. So let me give you a couple little pointers. First of all, spend a lot of time stretching. If you really want to be a good kicker, the first part is your flexibility. And so you have to be stretching. A lot of times in class we go through the stretching in about 10 minutes or sometimes a little less. And that's not enough if you really want to develop great kicking. I used to spend 25 to 30 minutes stretching. I would do some jumping jacks and warm-up drills, a few punches and kicks to kind of get the body warmed up, and then I would go through our warm-up routine, and I basically end up doing it 3 times. The first time I'd be stretching, maybe I could only go this far, and maybe my feet only went this far. But then by the second time, my legs are getting warmed up, and I could go further and further and further. And as you keep pushing it, and you got to stay there. There's 2 things that you're working in stretching. It's distance and duration. Distance meaning you're trying to push the stretch, and duration meaning that you're trying to get it further. And so you got to work that. A couple little pieces of advice: if you can get a partner to help you push your stretch just a little bit. Now be careful, because you could also pull a muscle easily. And if you pull a muscle, you're suddenly going backwards, because you're going to create scar tissue, and scar tissue is never as flexible as the original tissue. So make sure you're careful. We do want to push the stretch, but you do want to be careful not to go too far. You also want to never push the stretch hard 2 days in a row. You push the stretch hard and then you give yourself 48 hours to rest. Just like any other kind of weight training, the body needs time to rebuild. And when you're stretching, you're causing the fibers of the legs to be pulled and pulled apart. And their natural instinct, as soon as that happens, is they tighten up and go together. So the next day you may want to do some light stretching, but you don't want to push it hard because those fibers are re-healing. So you got to give yourself some time or a little bit of a break in there, okay? So spend a lot of time stretching. If you do partner stretches, what that just simply means is you do a lot of the same stretches and you have someone pushing you towards that direction, but they do it gently on your command, and you basically got to stay there for a little while. A little while being 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then once you learn to relax, you'll find you can go a little further and then a little further. And by having a partner, they can help push you just a little further. Sometimes it's hard to stretch and relax at the same time. But if your partner is doing the movement, then you can just focus on relaxing. And that can improve your stretch very quickly. So those are some little things about that. But let's go ahead and go through a couple of training drills I love to do with kicking. And one of the most basic things is try to find yourself a chair or a wall or something that you can put your hand on so as to create some balance. And one of the first things is just to work some good roundhouse kicks. We do this in the competition class a lot. You just turn your hips away. I turn my foot towards the wall. I raise the knee. And then what you do is you just simply practice doing kicks. So if I'm doing a roundhouse kick, I'd be just here and roundhouse kick. And start off maybe doing a few slow, maybe do about 10 or so slow. Then try to go a little more medium speed. Maybe do about 20 like that, or as many as you can reasonably do. Then try to really burst them out and go fast. Then go back to slow, and that's part of the trick. After you exploded them, sometimes people's legs are really tired at this point. And here, holding it out, doing it real slow and going into position, this is where the real strength starts getting built and the flexibility starts getting built. It's learning to do it really slow. And if you take time to do that, try to do 40, 50, 60, 70, even 100 kicks without putting your leg down in that way, you'll be amazed how fast your kicking ability will begin to improve. And you do that with one leg, and then of course you do it with the other. Other things you can do that can really help is try to get the height of the kick higher and higher. Maybe when you're first starting, you can only do waist level kicks. So then try to go just a little higher. And then eventually keep trying to go higher and higher as you do it. And do some fast ones and slow ones and medium speed ones. And then even try to vary the height as you're kicking. So I'm here and I'm simply going low and high. Low, high, low, high. And you just keep going back and forth and do some of those fast, some of those slow. The reason for having the chair or the wall is just so you don't have to focus so much on your balance and you can keep working on just the mechanical motion of the kick. Now, of course, once you get really good at it, then the goal would be just not even hold something and practice being able to stand there and do these same exercises without even having the wall or the chair. So once you get to that point, you can do that. And again, you can go low and high and other things. So those are some things that you can do at home and practice one leg, practice the other. Let your legs get sore, okay? The more you do it, you're going to really feel it here. You might even feel it in your obliques, okay? That's okay, that's good training. And you do it with one leg, you do it with the other. You can do the same thing with the side kick. You're here with the side kick. You turn your hips away. You pull the leg back, and you notice that I can pull the knee close to the chair. Straighten it out and try to work on that heel being higher than the toes. And then just hold the leg out there. And then just practice the motion. And making it a straight piston. That way when we're in class and we tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, you'll have the motion just perfect. So that's one way of doing it. And you do a few of them like that. You're just here trying to take the leg out and back. And then while you're holding it out there, you try to hold it there for a while. Maybe try to get it higher. You'll find that becomes very difficult. You can also practice wobbling it. That can help with some of those little minor muscles and really can work that leg strength, is learning to wobble it and then hold it still again. Practice the motion over and over. Do it fast, do it a little slow, do it really slow, and that will really improve your kicking. If you do it one side, do the other side and keep practicing it over and over. Side kick, same thing. You could do low and high like we were doing with the roundhouse kick. You can be here, go low, pull it back, go high, pull it back, go low, pull it back, go high, pull it back, and putting it down, okay? So that can be one of the ways that you can really improve your kicking. You can also do that with a front kick. Now, in the beginner class, you are learning to do what we call a front kick or front snap kick with the ball of the foot. So same thing, grab something that you can hold on to, pick up the knee, and then just learn to put the ball of the foot out there and hold it, bring it back, and put it down. Try to learn to arch that foot, pick up those toes, pick up the knee, reach out with the ball of the foot, and hold it. Say cheese. Then you put the arm up, make sure you're practicing being aware, bring it back, and back down. So that's something you can do. Now those purple belts who are learning what's called the front thrust kick, where you hit with the heel, you do the same thing. You're just here, and just pick up that knee, and thrust with the heel. And see how long you can hold it. And see if you can do it higher. And you will be amazed when you're holding a kick like front kick, and you do it just here. If you can do even just a few inches higher, it is a tremendous difference in the strength of your legs, the flexibility of your legs when you're trying to hold that kick out there. So try it with the front thrust, try it with the front snap. Front snap, you could also do some of the similar drills like a roundhouse, where you're here, pick up the knee and learn to stand there and kick several times. And again, once you learn how to do it while holding something, you can also learn to, have your balance so you can do the drill without having to hold something, okay? So those can be some really great, awesome ways to improve your kicking. And those are all drills you can do. It's all about trying to hold it up and use gravity as your fighting force and constantly work it over and over. Now, let me give you a couple of tips about the kicks themselves. When you're practicing something like a side kick, sometimes the biggest problem is if you have a target or something, one of the problems people do is they drop their kick so fast. They'll sometimes do the kick really well, and then it's like the leg just drops. They forget to bring it in. Make sure that when you're practicing, bring it back the direction it went, okay? So if I'm here and I'm trying to do that kick, straight out, pull it back and down. And practice doing them slowly. Everybody wants to do their kicks fast. And that is the goal, is that when you're actually sparring or self-defense, the kick should be able to go out and back. But you have to understand that before you can make a fast kick, you've got to make sure it's right. And you've got to make sure your legs are strong enough and you've got the balance to make it work. So we're here and you just practice. And practice. And you notice I didn't even touch the target. I wasn't even trying. I just simply was working the mechanics. If you want to, you can be here, touch the target, and there, okay? But again, if you don't have a heavy bag, you don't have to. And just working the mechanics. And by doing it slow, you'll work your balance, you'll work your leg strength, you'll make sure everything's correct. And then, of course, the goal becomes, then you speed it up and try to do that good side kick. The next thing to try to learn to do is control the leg going down. Not just the fact of making sure it's mechanically correct, but people tend to plop their foot on the ground. They don't think about the fact that they need to lay the foot down. It needs to be purposeful. See, when you get to more advanced type training, where you put your foot down may have to do with your next technique. So let me just kind of show you this. If I'm doing a back fist after my side kick, then I'm probably going to just put my foot straight down. And then back fist, see? But at the same time, I want to make sure that that's purposeful. I don't want to come in and kick and just drop the leg. I want it to where the hand and the foot are going together. See how the foot's landing, the hand is coming together? It all works together. But I also need to be able to control the foot in case I'm doing a different technique. For instance, if I'm doing a rear leg roundhouse kick after my side kick, then I have to have the ability to pull the knee backwards. Let me show you what I mean. If I'm doing a rear leg roundhouse kick, I don't want to go kick, put the leg straight down, and then try to turn the whole body around the other leg. Instead, you're here doing your side kick, and then the leg goes backwards so that you can do your next kick. Well, in order to be able to make your leg go backwards, you've got to be able to control that. So you're here going side kick, pull the leg back for that roundhouse kick. Now, there will be a difference if your target's moving backwards, but this concept still is the same. It's got to come a little bit backwards in order for your other foot to have a straight line to the target. Another thing would be, what if I'm doing a spinning back kick? Well, if I'm going to do a spinning back kick after the side kick, then I'm going to do the side kick, and now the knee needs to go forward so I can do a spinning back kick. So one of the things you got to learn is to be able to think ahead. So one of the drills you could do is practice putting your leg down in different places, imagining your next technique. So if I'm imagining doing a spinning back kick, then I practice kicking and putting the leg this way. If I'm imagining doing a rear leg roundhouse kick, then I kick and learn to put the foot over here. If I'm imagining doing a back fist, then kick and put the leg straight down. If I'm imagining doing a body reverse punch, then I'm imagining side kick and the foot has to go backwards. So again, the technique is a straight line. So that can be some good training as you're practicing at home. Also, if you really want to have a good, effective technique, learn to straighten the leg. One of the things when people are brand new with a kick, they tend to always have it bent. And it's okay When you're new with it, that's all right. You're trying to get it all figured out. And sometimes that can be good because that's better than doing this, where the person never pulled the leg into the chamber position. So learn to pull it into the chamber position, but then also learn to see how far can I kick so that I can see the distance at which I can really kick. So I'm here, and I learn to lean and get that kick in there. See, I can actually be a little further back, lean into it just a little bit, and get a further kick. So that's something you can try to work on, is learning to get the leg straight, and then even make it to where you're leaning into it as you do it, and then be able to control the leg as it lands. So if I want to do a spinning back kick again, I'm far enough away from the target, I kick, stretch, lean, pull, and spinning back kick. So if you start doing that with your kicks, you'll be able to hit targets at all different ranges, as well as you cannot have a good, powerful kick until you learn to lean with it and straighten the leg. If you never learn to lean and straighten the leg, and by lean I mean lean into the target, not lean away. See, the problem is a lot of people lean away as they kick, and there's no power in that because you're putting too much body weight the wrong side. I've got to be able to keep my body upright as much as possible so that I'm leaning into the kick as I kick. That's what puts a body weight into the kick. As a matter of fact, if you really watch this when someone's really stretching or leaning, or if they slip kick, you'll notice that this leg will actually start having an angle going this way. Okay, now I exaggerated it there, so I want you to be able to see that, but if you notice, that's what makes the weight of the kick begin to happen, because I'm leaning into that kick. Now obviously you don't want to miss your target, but that's how you get power into the kick, because your whole body leans into the motion. So that's something else you can be working on at home, okay? So keep training, keep practicing. I'm hoping you'll take some of these tips, do the kicks over and over and over, do them with where, like I showed you, you held something. But then the biggest part is learning just to do the kick and practice it over and over. Try to get it to where first you do it slowly, got mechanically correct. Then the next thing is try to be explosive. And try to explode that kick and just make it one motion. And one motion, okay? And whether you're doing defensive where you just stand there, or whether you're doing offensive, doing that replacement step, a cross step, or in whichever stepping motions you've been taught, and you're here, and you're doing that good kick, okay? So really just practice them, practice them. Roundhouse kicks are really great kicks. If you want to start learning to kick high, it's probably one of the easiest. The front kick, a lot of people can learn to kick high pretty quickly. Then the roundhouse kick is one of the best side type kicks where you can learn to, get that leg up there and be able to kick head level or higher. Then one last drill that can really help you. Those of you who know a side kick, a roundhouse, and a hook heel kick, you can combine the kicks and practice them all as one drill. And the way you do that is, again, holding something. Practice doing this real slow. You're here, you do your side kick, then try to keep your knee pretty much in the same spot and do a roundhouse kick. Keep your knee as close as you can to the same spot and do a hook heel kick. And then just do that over and over. Side, round, hook heel. Side, round, hook heel. And the goal is not to go fast. Okay, now you can make it fast eventually, but the goal is trying to build leg strength. Side kick, roundhouse, maybe even do it real slow, hook heel, right? And do it over and over and over until it's just automatic. And then if you want to speed it up and put it together, you can of course do that. Practice those drills, do them over and over, practice your kicking. The more you kick, the better you'll get at it, but make sure you're doing the techniques correct. If I do something 10 times wrong, it's still wrong. If I do it 1,000 times wrong, it's still wrong. So my instructor used to say, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So keep that in mind. Don't get in such a hurry. I want to make it fast. I want to make it powerful. Remember, everything we teach, first we want to teach you mechanic and doing it slow. Get it right. Then, it's just like handwriting. You don't try to write fast when you're learning it. Children have to be taught, slow down, okay? Do it neat. Once you learn how to do it correctly and neatly, you'll learn to get faster because it'll become more automatic. So same with the karate techniques, do it slow, mechanic, and perfect. Then we try to add control to the training, meaning that you actually can reach the targets and touch the targets. Then we try to build the speed, not power, build speed. Try to relax and just build the speed. Don't worry about the power. The power will come, and the last part is power. And we do that a progression often. Then we go for other levels of perfection beyond that, okay? But for a new student, that's a good way of looking at it. First, make sure you have it perfect. Then try to learn to control it. Make sure every little bit of it is right, and you can hit the target correctly, and you're in control of the technique. And then go for speed. Then we go for power, okay? So keep training, keep working. I really miss you guys.